Hello, it's Polish Pol VR, welcome back to the channel. We are here today to do some PlayStation VR2 news. Today's video is a big one, so get ready. We've got two PSVR2 reviews coming up, the fantastic looking Ghost Town and the chaotic PSVR2 minigame collection Chaos Method. And after that we jump in straight into packed news segment. Sony has just made a huge move that shows they pushing PSVR2 harder than ever. We also got high-end new PSVR2 game announcement that looks like a proper next-gen VR. And yes, I've got to talk about something frustrating, some quite not as great PSVR2 news as well, because not everything this week has been sunshines and rainbows. So if you love PSVR2 and you want to stay up to date with the biggest stories, the reviews, the announcements and everything happening in the PSVR2 world right now, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. It helps the channel stay relevant in the algorithm and it helps it grow, and I super appreciate your support. Before we start, quick word from today's sponsor 13Z, the Zodiac Trials. This is 13Z, the Zodiac Trials, an action roguelite inspired by Eastern mythology and fast, stylish combat. You play as challenger fighting through the 12 Zodiac Guardians, mastering new abilities and transformations as you climb toward the title of the 13th Zodiac. Every rune reshapes your build, new powers, new combos, new ways to fight, leap in, slash through enemies and grow stronger with every setback. Created by the team behind Sariento VR and Hellsweeper VR, 13Z brings their signature fast movement and kinetic action to PC. Plans for virtual reality are in the works. And now, the co-op demo has arrived on Steam. Team up with up to 4 players online, mix your abilities, revive each other, and cause a ton of glorious chaos together. Try it for free. For streamers, Twitch integration is ready. Your fans can vote on modifiers, crank up your difficulty and drop surprises into your rune at any moment. 13Z, the Zodiac Trials, rise together, fight together, claim your place. Link to the Steam page is in the description. Right, okay, so we're starting from the reviews and Ghost Town is first. Ghost Town is the latest release from Fireproof Games, the studio behind the Room VR, a Dark Matter, one of the most respected puzzle adventures on PSVR 1 and 2. So, the question here is, does Ghost Town live up to it? Is it good or does it suck balls? I'm gonna tell you all about it. But before I start, I received a review copy for free ahead of the game release, but as always you get in my honest opinion. And also, before I start, let me show you this PSVR 2 game trailer. Looks like a game, right? But here is a thing. That wasn't just one new PSVR 2 game. Those were 5 different titles, and I wanted to highlight them for a reason. By now, PSVR 2 got fair amount of games that look identical. Well, they are very safe, very generic, very cartoony, in the VR aesthetic. We've been seeing that since the PSVR 1 days. It feels like some studios want their game to look as generic as possible, and because of that, those titles blend together. There's no visual identity, no ambition, and honestly, now in 2025, it feels like players have just had enough of this simplistic, borderline boring art direction. And that is exactly where Ghost Town kicks down the door, because Ghost Town is photorealism at its absolute finest, and I'm not exaggerating here if I say it surpasses even Red Matter 2. We're talking visuals on the same tier as your Resident Evils, Horizons and Gran Turismos. It is that good. The game takes place in 1983 and you don't just see it, you pretty much feel it, you practically smell it. Fireproof clearly leaned heavily on photo scanning and high quality materials. Textures are rich and tactile. Wood has natural imperfections, Dust particles float through the sunbeams, reflections shimmer across puddles, light bounces exactly as it should. It is a world so beautifully built that I found myself stopping constantly just to stare. It's the closest VR has come to photorealistic time travel. If you want a VR game that feels like stepping into a physical place, if you want to be transported down there, Ghost Town is worth buying just for visuals alone. Now, there is a bit of room for improvement here when it comes to visuals. The game does not use eye tracking and dynamic foveated rendering. If they did, they could make it run without reprojection probably, and make the graphics shine even more. So there is still room for improvement, even though it looks fantastic already. But visuals aren't the only trick that Ghost Town has up its sleeve. You play as Edith Penrose, a medium searching for her missing brother. The story starts small, then unfolds into a layered psychological thriller full of twists, supernatural elements and emotional moments. The writing is excellent, engaging without being overbearing, and the pacing constantly pulls you forward, making you want to explore every corner. This isn't a horror game, it's more of a psychological thriller, less jump scare, more atmosphere and mood. The voice acting is also awesome. Every character feels believable, and the sound design? Wow. I don't say this lightly, but Ghost Town has one of the best 3D audio I've heard in any VR game, being PSVR or PCVR or Quest. Ambient noises wrap around you, footsteps shift realistically, subtle clanks, distant echoes, and environmental detail constantly make you turn your head. And the soundtrack is just a chef's kiss. Classical instruments fade in exact when they need to. Never too much, never too little, it's elegant and emotional, and just in the right places. Every character in the game is motion captured, and unlike many VR games where mock-up feel maybe like just pasted and unpolished, Ghost Town looks smooth, clean, and incredibly natural. This is AAA level of character animation. Objects that you can interact with have proper animations too. Sometimes those animations are very complex, and you just feel the purpose of the object thanks to those animations. Definitely nothing generic about those. And we need to speak about special effects that are everywhere. Particle, dusts, lights, environmental reactions, supernatural distortions, all animated, layered and reactive. It massively enhances the immersion. In this nearly perfect world, there is some limitations as well. You can't interact with most objects. Only key items can be manipulated, which feels like a missed opportunity, considering how real everything feels. There's a museum section where you can interact with objects, and it made me wish that whole game worked like that. The haptics are great, but since most walls don't have collision, you cannot press your hands against surfaces and feel them through your VR Sense controller, which occasionally can feel like breaks immersion. Everything looks so good, you just want to touch it. Your avatar is invisible, so you're represented by hands, which is not a problem, but those hands had quite limited hand animations. It's not a deal breaker, but definitely it's kind of behind some of the newer, premium titles out there. Now, you can play this game seated or standing using smooth or teleport locomotion, smooth or snap turning, and it's got full analog acceleration, so start slow and build momentum naturally. The analog movement, it feels surprisingly realistic. Gameplay revolves around explorations, puzzles and narrative. There is a hint system if you ever get stuck. It took me around 5 hours to finish the story, but it felt like hour and a half maybe, because that's how much fun I've had with that one. You probably could finish this game faster, but I didn't because I kept stopping to admire random objects. Like, wow, this iron looks so realistic, or holy shit, this teapot looks proper nice. There's plenty of moments like that. Time just disappears in this world. After finishing, you unlock chapter select, and then you can go back and collect any missing magazines, which are this game's collectibles. The ending clearly sets up for a sequel, and I really hope Fireproof gets enough profit to make the sequel. They released this game on all the platforms now, so I think the money will come in. For me, Ghost Town is one of the top PSVR2 releases of the year. It's stunning showcase of what this headset can really do, blending visuals, story, sound and atmosphere into this near perfect package. It is 8.9 out of 10 from me, a phenomenal experience that belongs in the top tier of PSVR2 titles. Everything, the graphics, the animation, writing, performances, puzzles, world design, audio and music clicks together beautifully. It's emotional, immersive and unforgettable. Wow, okay, so that's one review, a fantastic game. Now let's move on to another game release that's come out today, and this is Chaos Method. It is a collection of 13 PSVR2 minigames designed, apparently, to help newcomers get familiar with basic VR mechanics, but does it actually do that, or does it suck balls? I'm gonna tell you all about it, but first quick disclaimer. The game was provided to me for free ahead of the release, so I could play it, but as always, you get in my honest opinion. Right, okay, I honestly don't know where to start with this one, because Chaos Method really is a chaos. You get 13 minigames, and most of them are so short they barely qualify as games. The bamboo slashing game is lasts like about second, the city smashing tentacle one maybe 20 seconds. There's a submarine minigame that's the most tolerable of the bunch. I'm not saying enjoyable here, I'm just saying the most tolerable. Then you've got minigames where you control vehicles from a third-person perspective using clunky controls. And to top it off, there's a balloon popping like a Flappy Bird clone in first person with one short level and some dodgy looking dinosaurs on it. There is another dinosaur shooting game. Just each minigame uses like a totally different control scheme as well, and around 80% of them it just feels terrible, unnatural, uncomfortable and opposite of what do you want to show a VR newcomer. Now let's talk the graphics, and I'm trying to be nice here, but visually, and I don't know how to put it nicely, but it just looks proper shit. It has that early game prototype look, flat textures, simple models and nothing that reassembles a cohesive art style. It screams student project, not a full release. Sound design doesn't help either, effects are basics, the mix is cheap sounding and the music gets annoying pretty fast, but at least you can turn it down, so that's something. Now, here's the big issue. Chaos Method feels like a solo developer playing around with VR ideas, learning things, experimenting, and then deciding to release all those experiments as a commercial game. And there's nothing wrong with learning, everyone starts somewhere, but calling this a training tool for new VR players is absolutely not. If someone's first ever VR experience is this game, then there is a real chance they'll never want to try VR again. And they're gonna ask you why you being fucking weirdo and showing them this so-called game. That's how unintuitive and uncomfortable most of those minigames are. In total, it took me about 20 minutes to finish everything on first attempt, all 13 minigames done. So anyway, let's get to the score. Chaos Method gets 1.1 out of 10. And yes, it's 1.1, not just 1, because to be totally fair, it is slightly better than Duke Shooter VR, and that tiny improvement earns extra 0.1 on the score. But aside from that, it's not something I can recommend to anyone, newcomers or VR veterans. Right, okay, and now it's time to talk some PSVR2 news. And we're starting from this huge PSVR2 price drop. It isn't just a Black Friday flash sale anymore. After getting 300 deal for Black Friday, we now got this ultra low price that is super cool, and this price is staying all the way until December 19th, all the way until Christmas. Sony clearly wants to push PSVR2 hard this holiday season. They want units in people's hands. They want new players jumping into premium VR on PlayStation 5. With so many strong games dropping right now, I've got a feeling we're about to see a wave of new people trying true high-end virtual reality for the very first time. Okay, and next story, and this one has been popping up absolutely everywhere. So, the developer of Sweet Surrender has published a full post-mortem about how the game performed on PSVR2, or rather, how it didn't perform. I actually watched an interview with him not too long ago, where he talked about exactly same issues, and now I'm seeing it again on Reddit and on Upload VR and all over social media. And look, I genuinely don't mean this in any harsh way, but I honestly don't get why this needs to be plastered everywhere like a headline disaster. Every time a PSVR2 game underperforms, it becomes the next big story, and that just feeds this negative perception that PSVR2 isn't worth supporting. Meanwhile, tons of the developers have previously said their games actually sold best on PlayStation VR2 compared to other VR platforms. So the truth is never as simple as one disappointing launch. But back to the post-mortem. The developer pointed out several things he thinks went wrong, and to be fair, most of them are valid points. The art style is extremely generic and cartoony. The game launched in a busy release window. The price was too high for what it offered. Other similar games exist, and they're cheaper and better. So, he's not wrong about any of that. Sweet Surrender has that very familiar default VR rogue-like look to it. The type of visuals you've seen 100 times before. When you compare it to something like Compound, which is cheaper and, well, plays better and stylistically more interesting, of course people will gravitate towards the better looking, more polished game, which is Compound. But here's the uncomfortable truth. None of those explanations fully cover the real issue. The game just doesn't stand out in any strong way, and that's not an insult, that's just reality. I gave it a very generous 6.5 out of 10 in my review, and that was me just being nice, but the AI isn't great, the procedural levels start feeling repetitive way too fast, the perk system only working on your active hands is a strange design choice, and the whole experience just feels uninspired. There is no hook, no signature idea, nothing that grabs you and says, this is the roguelite you need to play. Then there is pricing, and people aren't stupid. If they see a Quest looking game on PSVR2 store at triple the Quest price on the launch day, they're going to say, no, yeah, fuck that. Especially when the game doesn't visually take advantage of the PS5 horsepower. I do get it, it runs smoothly, but still it looks, subpar. PSVR2 players expect premium experiences. If you don't give them that, then yeah, they will just ignore it. So when the developer says only 84 people bought it on day one, to be honest, that number is higher than what I would expected anyway. But let me make this part absolutely clear. I do feel for the developers. Game development is hard, is mentally draining, and it's extremely time consuming. Earlier this year, when I took break from YouTube, I wanted to try to make a game myself, just to understand what it takes. Since I review games, I thought I should know the pain behind them. I opened Unreal Engine, and let me tell you this, it took me fucking ages just to make a door open and close properly. A fucking door, the most basic thing ever, and I still struggled, so trust me, I appreciate the effort behind every virtual reality game, even the ones I don't personally enjoy. But here is the other side of the coin. If you create something, you have to accept that not everyone will like it. That's just life. That's art, that's entertainment, and I understand this deeply from my job as a chef. In past, I could have spent hours creating what I believed was the perfect dish, a masterpiece, only for someone to tell me it wasn't that great. And even though I knew they couldn't cook half as well as I could, I still had to swallow my pride, take it on the chin, and go back to the kitchen to see where I went wrong and try to improve. When you make something, a game, a meal, a video, people are going to judge it. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. And that's what I want to say to the developer if you are watching. I do appreciate your work, I respect the grind and I respect how openly you're talking about what went wrong, but the game is mid. It's not terrible, but it's not compelling either. It doesn't excite people, it doesn't stand out, the visuals are off-putting for PSVR2 expectation, the gameplay loop lose steam quickly, the level generation feels just samey, the AI is basic, and nothing about this scream must buy. I honestly feel like even if there was 100 million people owning PSVR2 headset, day one sale for this one still would be 84 copies. So instead of pushing the narrative of how badly it's sold on PSVR2, even if it's with good intentions, maybe it's time to step back, accept that the game didn't land for some people, and use that experience to build something stronger next time. Let's not waste time telling people that it didn't perform, because this is the type of message that being echoed to everywhere else. It's a very nice headline grabbing message. And then you've got developers who want to port to PSVR2 but they might not want to because of headlines like this. So this is what I think, but anyway, that's me. Let's move on to the next story and brand new PSVR2 game announcement that looks seriously impressive. It's called EXD, Extra Dimensional, and visually this looks fantastic. The big news for us is that the developers confirmed in their trailer comments that PSVR2 support is planned, but it's only after they finish the PC version. And because the PC VR build isn't even out yet, it might be a while before we see it on PlayStation, but still definitely one to watch. So, the setup: you play as Max Ventura, a regular delivery guy working for Megazone, and suddenly a dimensional rift opens inside your warehouse. You get pulled into a fantasy world called Erath. Sounds like Earth, but it's Erath, a place corrupted by ancient Earth relics. You basically the next chosen one, after someone else failed the mission long before you. The main hook of EXD is full physics interaction. Your hands are your weapons. Everything has weight, everything reacts realistically, and the combat is built around physical feedback. You also got the Quantum Glove, which lets you use telekinesis, conjure fireballs, shoot ice spikes, and even unleash lightning attacks. It's very magic meets physics. The world is full of hidden relics and weapons like minar alloy blades, magic wands, and the time locks, which can slow down time. And the enemies look varied too: undead creatures, mutant bugs, dragon-like humanoids, and powerful wizards serving the Emperor. All of them fully physical, so combat should feel quite intense. Visually, this might be one of the strongest parts for this game. The art style is inspired by Frank Frazetta and Boris Vallejo. Apparently, they are some of the best fantasy artists. I have no idea. It's first time I heard of them, but that's what the description says, so it must be true. Anyway, think massive fantasy landscape, crystal caverns, ancient temples, really high-end VR looking stuff. They also doing dynamic orchestral music and full 3D spatial audio to push immersion even further. So looks like fantastic upcoming game. Very nice. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing, then please press a like, because it does help the channel a lot. And if you're new to the channel and are not subscribed, then subscribe. It's always better when it's more of us. And that's it. Bye 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 bye.